Hi guys, welcome to this module on data analysis. We're going to look at several things. First of all, we're going to look at a feature called data tables. Then we're going to look at a feature called goal seek. Then we're going to look at a feature called scenarios, or using the scenario manager. And all of them are data analysis tools. So the first one is the data table. Now the data table section is split into three parts or three elements. First of all, looking at as a column input, then as a row input, and then both of them together. So first of all, what you need to use the data tables feature. At the top of this spreadsheet, I've got a break-even figure of £220,000, and I want to know how many customers I need, or how many visitors I need to make to £220,000. At present, I'm charging people £9 to get in to my event, and on average people are spending £5. And a simple sum there gives me the result, the number of customers or visitors that I would require. What I want data tables to do is to feed these cells, these green cells, price increases through this cell. Now the title for this example is data table column input. These are laid out in a column and they are going to feed through this top table into this position. So basically that £9 is going to change to 10, 11, 12 and so on all the way down. And when it does that, this figure will reduce to reflect that change. Now what you have to do to set this up initially is, in this example, as it says there, this top left hand cell, this pink cell, has to be blank. The top right hand cell, the blue cell, has to have a formula in it, in this case equals D5, which links these two tables together. So that is D5, that is linking it together. And then all you do then is you highlight this whole table, you go to the data tab, and we're doing what if analysis, and data table is what we're doing. When this box comes on the screen, it's asking you two questions. What is your row input cell and what is your column input cell? Our table is laid out in a column, so we don't have a row input cell. So which cell are these column of figures going to change with? So I've got this color coded green to green. So that cell D3 is the cell that they are going to feed through. When I click OK, the table populates, and you can see straight away the more money I spend, the less people I need to attract. Now once you've run data tables, you can then change these figures and you will get a reaction on the other side. So that was a column input. The process is the same for row input, except your figures are laid out in a row. But in this example I've got a blank cell, which is the red cell, and the cell that links the two tables together is this cell, equals B6, and I want to know what will happen if I increase the amount of money each person spends in my shop. So the same process, I highlight the table, I go to the what if data table option. I do have a row input cell, so which cell are these row input cells swapping places with? And again it's color coded, so they're going to swap places with B5. When I click OK, it gives me the answer. It's got some hashes there, but I'll just expand those. I know as soon as I do this it's probably going to mess my table up, but it didn't, so that's good. So that was a row input cell, and again if I change these figures once it's run, it gives me a reflection straight away there. I'm just going to change that down to, just get rid of the decimal places, wrong way. So that was a row input cell. Now putting them both together, the layout is slightly different. You don't have a blank cell. The top left hand cell has a formula in it, in this case B5, linking these two together. All you do in this case is you highlight the whole table, you go to the data tab and you select what if analysis data tables, and this time you do have a row input cell, green cells go into the green cells, so that's that one, B4, and then the purple cells go into the purple cells, so that was B3, and then you click OK, the whole table is populated. And that is an example of data tables. Now if we do a little example exercise here, so this would be a table that's laid out. So the criteria I've got there is course costs are going to go in row input, and trade materials going to go in column input. So I've got income required 100,000, course cost is 75 and 14 for trade materials. I would need 1124 students. So first thing I do is I create a formula that links these two tables together by doing that. Click that tick, and then I put my raw input figures in. So 80, 85, I can highlight those two and use the step value feature to pull those over. And then course material is going up by 2, and again give the step value and then pull that down. So that's my table created. Now I need to highlight the whole table. I'll go to the what if analysis box, data tables. My input cell is a course cost, which is that one, and my column cell is the trade material cell, so it's that one. When I click OK, the table is filled in. So that's the first example of some data analysis using data tables. The next one is Goal-Seek. So Goal-Seek is a tool that allows you to change one element of a formula which will affect the result. So in this example, I've got a loan amount. I'm using what's called the PMT function, but it basically works out how much you need to pay on a loan, in this case a mortgage. So initial borrowing was 43,700, interest rate at 7.25, 25 years or 300 payments. PMT function returns 31587, that's what I would have to pay. But let's say I only can afford to pay £300. I want Goal-Seek to tell me if I only pay £300 how that affects the number of payments. And this example's already been run, it's just a picture really. This would increase the payments, the number of payments, by 52. The payment amount has gone down to 300, so by losing £15 it's an extra 52 payments of 300. It's quite a lot extra. So let's have a go at doing some of these. First example is the PMT example, so I'm starting in these yellow cells. So in this example I want to pay more, so I'm paying 292, I'm going to pay 350. How does that affect the number of payments? So in a minute I'm paying this over 240 months. If I pay more, that's going to reduce, but by how much? So I go across I'm on the data tab still. I go what if, Goal-Seek. I'm already on the correct cell, C4, to a value of minus, because it's a payment, 350 by changing cell C2. I click OK to that. It gives me an answer, so it's gone from 240 down to 165. I can cancel it off at this stage, but I am going to click OK. It's quite a big drop. This example, if I want a gross profit to be £56,000 by changing F2, so basically the cost of sales are going to have to change. So I'll start in the yellow cell. What if Goal-Seek to a value of, this is a positive number, 56,000 by changing the costs. Click OK. So my costs are going to have to be 67,000 if I want to make that profit. Click OK to that one. This one is the NPR function, NPER, number of payments basically. It's the same as this, these are just a different order. I want to know in this example, if I pay this mortgage off in 40 payments, how does it affect the amount I have to pay? So at the moment I'm paying 425. So again, Goal-Seek. So a value of minus 40 by changing cell I2, the amount. You see the amount goes up quite a lot there. Click OK to that. And then the last one is I want to set this cell to a value of 20,000 by changing C14. What do I want to set to? Let's do it for 20,000 first off, and then I'll change it to 90,000. So 20,000 by changing the blank cell, so there's nothing there at all. Clicking OK to that. Just widen that column. Click OK to this. So basically, if I just knock the decimal places down on that one, I need to get 20,000, I need to get 3,636 cups and cakes to sell. And that's goal seek. Now, let's have a quick look at the exercise. So this one, I need this to say 40, pay over 40 payments. It's a number of payment function. So I'm going to back to the data tab, what if goal seek. I'm changing cell B4 to a value of 40 by changing cell number of payments. Click OK to that. The payments changed to reflect that. Click OK to that one. This one, I need to change this to use goal seek. The profit needs to be 30,000 by changing cell B6. So B6 is the sales, so the sales will have to go up, but to how much? Goal seek. Type 30,000 in there by changing cell the sales. So the sales need to go up to 32,000. Click OK to that. And then this, I need to break even figure of 50,000. So changing cell is that cell. So I've got what if goal seek to a value of 50,000 by changing cell B15. So I would need to sell 7,246 bags of fish and chips, and that's goal seek. The next data analysis feature is the scenario manager. Scenario manager is a tool that you can change multiple cells and see what the impact would be. To use Scenario Manager, you need to have formulas in your spreadsheet. So these cells have got formulas, and I've got some actual figures here, and I want to change these actual figures to the listed predicted costs and predicted sales in these comment boxes. So first of all, I am going to name these cells, and I'm going to do that from create from selection, left column, OK. So these are now named gross sales, etc., cost of sales, gross profit. Right, you don't have to do that for this process, but I always find it quite helpful. So I'm going to get the last one, which is Scenario Manager. Now, I always tell my class to create an actual scenario. So the first one I'm going to do is going to be actual. That will allow me to get back to the basic figures. Now the changing cells are these pink cells. So I'm holding my control key down while I highlight those pink cells. Those are going to be the changing cells. Click OK to that. Now there's the names, there's the original figures. Everything on this screen is OK, so I can just click OK to that. That's my first one done. Now I'll do the second one when I'm doing predicted costs and sales. Changing cells stay the same, click OK to that, but these figures now need to change. So predicted sales is going to be 112,000, predicted costs is going to be 15,000, the lease is going up to, where's the lease going up to, 12,000, utilities is going up to 1,900, and operations is going up to 2,500. And click OK. Now this is how it works. So I've got predicted, I go show, and that's the impact. I've got actual, so I can get back onto that. I go show actual, and then I can use this button to create a summary sheet. And I've selected the total there, the net profit. Click OK to that, and it gives you a comparison. The current values are a duplicate of the last thing that you looked at, so I'm just going to get rid of those. It leaves me with the two. And because this is a spreadsheet, I can do some analysis on that if I need to. So that was the basic scenario. So let's do this little exercise. So again, I'm going to name these cells. So we've got formula, create from selection. Okay. It's asking me to replace an existing one, which I have done, but these are named: sales, retail, etc. Back to the data tab. What if, scenario manager, add, same process, actual, changing cells this time are all the blue cells. So again, I'm holding my control key down and selecting the blue cells. OK to that one, that's the basic one, they can all stay the same. And then add for predicted, changing cells stay the same, OK, but the figures change. So the figures are now going to be these predicted figures. So sales is going to go to 56, so 56,000. Retail is going to go to 23,000. Training to 2,000. Heating is going to go to 3,000. Stationery is going to go to 3,000. If I come down a bit to get the rest of them, staff costs are going down to 20,000, and food is going down to 4,000. And then I click OK to that, and I have the same as before, where I can show predicted, see the impact, and then show actual, see the impact. And then I can click on summary, and I'm going to click OK on summary, and I get the same as we did before with the duplicate column, which I shall get rid of. And that's the scenario manager.